With the inevitable arrival of the Switch 2 and Sony, including Microsoft, announcing that they will be dipping their toes in the handheld market, does the 3DS still stack up? Let's talk about it. Despite the 3DS's age, people are still purchasing it till this day. It might not be at the heights that it once was, but the community behind it is very loyal and growing. Many people are worried once they closed down the eShop that the 3DS would fall into obscurity, but the opposite happened. It blew up in popularity for reasons that we will go over in this video. So in today's landscape, you have many options for portable gaming, but let's go over why I think that the 3DS still stacks up in 2024 and going into 2025. Let's start with the 3DS's timeless appeal. And what do I mean by that? Well, for starters, the iconic dual screens. These dual screens are by far the best gimmick that Nintendo has ever given us, opening up the possibilities for gamings, apps, and much, much more. I had a functioning touchscreen on my DS and 3DS before I did on my phone. Introducing the stylus, the touchscreen, the 3D, and some very underrated gyro controls. The 3DS really paved the way for developers during this era of gaming. Unfortunately, where we're at now with game development, I doubt we would ever get a developer to create a game for just a portable console. Think about it. Devs like Capcom were making 3DS only games. That's unbelievable in today's climate. And you could see in many cases, these devs had fun with the possibilities that the 3DS gave them. And that's one of the things that gives the 3DS such strong staying power. You literally can't play those games anywhere else. The 3DS has a genuinely exclusive library. And no, it's not like exclusive rights to games like Sony and God of War, but I'm talking about exclusive games that can only be played on a 3DS because it's a 3DS. The standout franchises for me are Zelda, Pokemon, Fire Emblem, and Bravely Default. But many of the games that came out for the 3DS still hold up. I'm serious. Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask still look incredible on the 3DS. Pokemon Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire look better and run better than what Game Freak has been dropping on the Switch. There are over 1,000 titles that you can choose from on the 3DS. Feel free to let me know what your favorite games are in the comments down below. And let's not forget about Street Pass, which was super underrated when the 3DS first came out. Taking your 3DS to the movies or the mall and coming home to see that you walk past others who also took their 3DS, it's just such a dope idea. In the future, I want to take my 3DS to Mario Land in Universal Studios to see if anybody else is taking their 3DS. I think that'd be like a really fun experiment. The games, the dual screen, the Street Pass, it really does give the 3DS this timeless feel. And you could always pick it up and you know it'll work. Don't get that nowadays. Let's move on to pricing and availability. For an older console, the 3DS can be kind of expensive. Traditionally though, the prices don't fall too much. So if you feel like you're buying it at a high price, it probably won't plummet in value unless you break it or something. I always say if you're looking for a 3DS, check your local markets first. OfferUp, Facebook Marketplace. Those are going to be where the best deals are. My second recommendation is probably go to a thrift store. The only problem is that they don't always have electronics, and some thrift stores do know what they have and they be taxing. And lastly, check eBay. But if you are going to go through eBay, I would suggest to buy a Japanese 3DS. Now, the reason I put it in last is because in order to use a Japanese 3DS, you are going to have to jailbreak / mod the device in order to use it in English. So for some people, that's going to be a little bit too much for them, a little bit too much of a hassle. But for those who are going to mod your 3DSs anyways, this is probably your best option. That being said, the 3DS is still cheaper than most modern day portable consoles. It's about half the price of a Steam Deck and about the same price as a OG Switch. However, that's going to change when the Switch 2 comes out, where it's probably going to be again half the price. The closest price point is going to probably be the Portal, but like I mentioned in my Portal video, it is a streaming device. It doesn't actually play through the hardware, so if you don't have good internet, then probably the 3DS is still a better option. But check out that video if you want more insight on the Portal. I don't necessarily love the conversation of pricing when it comes to 3DS. I do have a lot of them, but I never really pay attention to how much they cost. I do know that they are expensive though. For an older console, it could be a little nerve-wracking, but I buy them because I do enjoy them and I try to use them all because I find them very fun. If anything, I wish I had more. I absolutely love the 3DS special editions that I have, and I don't think that modern day consoles come out with anything as unique as the special edition 3DSs. But if pricing is a problem for you, like I mentioned before, if you do buy a 3DS that's kind of expensive, unless it's sealed in the box, the price shouldn't go down that bad, so you won't be losing money necessarily. But if you ask me, get the 3DS that you want the most and play the crap out of it. The games can kind of be expensive too, so keep that in mind. But for those of you who will be modding your 3DS, that won't be a problem for you. Which brings me to my next argument, modding and homebrewing. Modding your 3DS is easier than ever nowadays. It is beginner friendly and accessible to almost everybody. All you really need is a computer and a sizable SD card, which micro SD cards have gotten super cheap lately, which is really awesome. With modding your 3DS, you open up Pandora's box. My personal favorite apps to use on my modded 3DS are the HShop, Animon, and Checkpoint. The HShop is essentially the eShop. All the games, demos, videos, and themes that were once available on the eShop are now on the HShop for you to download. This is where the big micro SD card comes in, and trust me, you don't want to skimp out on that. Get the biggest one that you possibly can afford because it's going to be worth it. Next is Animon, the 3DS theme manager app. I'll be honest, this one really surprised me. Not only do you get to use the themes from the HShop, but there's a whole website dedicated to downloading themes for this app. It's called Theme Plaza. And this site is loaded with themes made by fans. They have unique music, pictures, and sounds. It's honestly a joy going around and seeing what some of these artists can do and what they've been able to come up with. Huge shout out to Theme Plaza and the community out there. Seriously, you guys are doing some wonderful work. And Checkpoint. Checkpoint lets you save your current state of your game and go back to it. Quick example, let's say you're playing Ocarina of Time and you're in the water temple and you create a save on Checkpoint at the water temple. You can continue the game, beat the game, and if for whatever reason you want to go back to the water temple, you always can go back with that checkpoint save. No, it's super simple, but just a quick example. Checkpoint also gives you the option to use Game Shark and action replay cheats, which is super helpful in games like Pokemon if you want to catch a bunch of shinies. These apps are very, very surface level with what you could do on your homebrewed 3DS, and trust me when I say the modding community is alive and thriving. This is the most exciting part for the 3DS in my opinion, and why I think you should jump on it now, because honestly, the sky is the limit. There is so much potential for the 3DS and what it's going to be able to do in the future. I am so excited. If you are enjoying this video, please consider leaving a like, comment, and subscribing if you're interested. We just hit 700. Let's see if we can get to 800. And the last thing I want to talk about is what the 3DS has compared to what modern day competition has. Because modding is probably the biggest differentiator from the 3DS, but it's not the only one. The Steam Deck, for example, is obviously much more powerful than the 3DS. And there's absolutely no arguing this point. But the key takeaways are pricing and portability. This thing is huge. And honestly, when I go out, it's very hard to take it with me. Even when I'm going out of town, I travel very light, and this in a case is committing a lot of space in whatever backpack or suitcase I'm taking. So I find myself really only playing my Steam Deck at home. Like I said, I travel pretty light, and the 3DS, it fits in my pocket. So for me, it's the actual portable console. And compared to the Portal, well, one of them can be played without the internet. I know, it's obvious, but it's a big takeaway. It might matter. But what about the Switch? The Switch is hybrid, it's compact, and when you're talking about the Lite, it's almost the same size as the 3DS. So why would you pick a 3DS over the Switch? Well, for me, nothing beats those dual screens, baby. And to be honest, I absolutely hate using my Switch on handheld mode. I despise Joy-Cons. So I play on my Switch Lite like 90% of the time if I'm not playing docked. But my only argument is that the Switch Lite does hurt my hands after a few hours of gaming, and my 3DS doesn't. I don't know why. I don't know what's wrong with me, but that's just it's just the reality of it. We don't know exactly what the Switch 2 looks like right now, but if I were to bet, it's probably going to look close to what the Switch 1 looks like. Switch 1? That sounds weird. I guess it's going to look close to what the Switch OG looks like. And it probably will only get bigger rather than smaller. Also, it will most likely use Joy-Cons again, which... But most of all, the 3DS, out of all of these devices, is the most focused device. The 3DS may not have today's power, but its unique design, amazing library, and growing modding community make it a fantastic choice when deciding what portable console you want to get into in 2025 and beyond. Well, I hope you enjoyed that video about my favorite console, the 3DS. I made a video similar to this last year, talking about why I thought the 3DS was better than the Switch. This year, I obviously still think the same thing. So if you like this video, please subscribe, because next year we'll be doing the same thing, talking about why the 3DS is better than the Switch 2. Because really, what is going to beat the 3DS? That's not to say that I'm not hyped for the Switch 2. I really am. I'm excited for it, but we'll have to wait and see, because it's Nintendo, you know? They don't necessarily hit all the shots that they shoot, you know? Anyways, do you think that the 3DS still holds up? Will you be buying one? Do you have one? Please let me know in the comments down below. Thank you. Bye. And I love you.